Hi out there in Library Land. It is Library Queen E, and I am here with you for our Symposium. And you're probably wondering, who is this special guest that I have with me? This is Sebastian. Sebastian, say hello to people in Library Land. Oh, that's really bad. That is really sad. Anyways, we are getting ready to get underway, but I just have my cute little dog in my hands, and so he is on the webinar with me, but he will not be hosting the webinar with me. But say bye-bye, Sebastian. Time to say bye-bye. Oh, man, what a poop of the party he is. Well, anyways, this is Library Queen E, and as you guys already know, every second Wednesday of each month, beginning at 5:15 p.m., I host the Symposium webinar. So it's 5:16 now, so we've been live for 1 minute, but today, what I will be sharing with you guys, of course, it'll be a PowerPoint, so you won't see me here in a minute, and I know you'll be sad about that. But today, the topic is bridging the gap, how to be a connected collaborator. And basically, I'll be sharing with you about the relationship between the school library and the public library, which I think is definitely very needed, very beneficial, and we are going to get underway here in a minute. Remember, you have an opportunity, since we are live, if you would like to, as the audience, you can always feel free to ask questions. I'll try to toggle back and forth in between the live screen and then the Google slides so that I'm able to read your questions. If not, when I'm done presenting to you, then I definitely will come back and answer any questions that you guys may have. Also, today is Wednesday. You already know that, April 13th, and if you are a Laker fan, as I am, although I know if my husband was here, he would probably be rolling his eyes and saying, yeah, right. But if you are a Laker fan, as I am, then today is Kobe Bryant's last game at the Staples Center. So the cool thing about that is that I believe that game begins at 7:30 p.m. So you have time to watch the webinar and still have time to watch the game. So you will get two awesome shows this evening, the webinar and the Laker game. So let's get underway, and I am getting ready. I am so sorry. I'm hitting my screen there, but I am getting ready to go ahead and toggle over to the Google slide, and then my face will be with you shortly after this. Okay, so every time I do this, it's always something. Okay. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Sorry. So, bridging the gap, becoming a connected collaborator. And so, like I mentioned before, this webinar will be discussing the relationship between the school library and the public library. So let's get started here. So the school library, which is what I work in, and I'm sure some of you work in as well. So the school library, it offers resources, of course, to our students to support their classroom instruction, and not just supporting their classroom instruction. If we think about where we're headed as it relates to the Common Core, hopefully your school library has resources and materials within the school library that support the Common Core state standards. Also, just good literature, and then literature for a diverse audience. I think all of those things are important. And if you tuned in last month, I did speak about diversity in the school library and then having materials, resources in the school library that support that. So the school library offers resources to students to support their classroom instruction. It also gives students access to technology. Maybe you might have laptops in there, maybe you have Chromebooks, iPads, but our school library is a place where students have access to technology. Some school libraries, there's a lab connected to it. Some school libraries, the lab is within the school library, and then some of us, like I stated, might have laptops, you might have Chromebooks, you might have iPads, but the school library gives students access to technology. Also, the school library teaches students how to properly use a variety of resources. So we're not just talking about books, of course, but technology, e-books, whatever it is that you have in your library that the students have access to. I'm sure over the time, of course, in most libraries, hopefully, it's not just library books. So there's a lot of other different resources that come out of the school library and that are housed in the school library, and that your librarian or media teacher or media tech is able to show you how to properly use a variety of those resources. Also, the school library teaches students about digital literacy and digital citizenship. One day I am going to have to do a webinar on that because there is a difference. But the school library not only teaches but offers support also to the teachers as it relates to digital literacy and digital citizenship. So this is kind of just a brief overview of what the school library offers. I know for myself and then a lot of you guys out there who are tuning in, I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of other things that you do within the school library, but so this is kind of just a real short generic list. So we have the school library. Now let's look at the public library. The public library, of course, gives the community access to lots of different reading materials and mediums. They have ebooks, they have databases, they have regular books, they have what else do they have? Oh, they have DVDs, they have CDs, they have, you name it, they have it at the library. So, and then if you think about it, community is your students that are at your school, of course, are a part of that community. So the public library gives the community access to a plethora of reading materials and mediums. Also, the public library, it makes available technology for its patrons. And they have access, or the patrons have access to a lot more computers than they possibly might have maybe in the school library, or maybe it can't really be the school because now with state testing being online, your school probably has at least 2 labs. So the public library, like the school library, makes technology accessible and available. Also, the public library has free classes that are offered in a lot of different categories. They do the Microsoft Word, I've seen PowerPoint, Excel. There's even a couple of local libraries that have citizenship classes, and all of those are offered, of course, free. Also, the public library offers resources that support the diversity within the community. I know when I am, or when I have an opportunity to purchase reading material for my school library, I look at the population that I serve, and I want to make sure that I have resources in the school library that reflect the population that I serve. It's definitely because I am at elementary, it's definitely good for the students to see main characters or characters in stories that are reflective of who they are or what they look like. So the public library has an opportunity also through supporting the diversity in the community. There are topics or subjects that the public library will definitely have that will not necessarily be in a school library. And so also the public library has reading programs. I do have reading programs as well at my school library, but like I said before, that was a generic list because not everybody is doing what I'm doing, of course, and I'm not doing what everybody else is doing, but there are some things that are consistent across the board as it relates to school libraries. So this is public library. So why to connect and collaborate? Why would you want to connect and collaborate with the public school with the public school? Yes, if you're a public librarian watching this, and then why would you want to connect and collaborate if you vice versa, public librarian connecting with the school, school connecting with the public library. So why should school and public libraries connect? Well, it definitely gives options to students and patrons for meaningful programs and services. I think collaboration between the public library and the school library is very effective, and it definitely is a means for bettering programs and services for students. And then, of course, there have been studies shown that indicate that student achievement is higher when the students have an opportunity to connect not only with their school library but with their public library as well. And so that's my second bullet point. Why should we connect? Because greater student access. If you think about it, my students go, of course, to attend my school, yes, but the public library that is within our city also is for the families that are a part of that community. Well, my students are a part of that community because their families live in that city. So therefore, they have an option to, it would be fabulous if they were visiting both. They're in their school library, but they're also visiting their public library as well. Also, stronger support for literacy and reading. When these two entities are connected, it shows partnership, it shows collaboration, and so you are really able to lean on one another, the school on the public library and the public library on the school library. And then at the end of the day, hopefully both entities are pushing literacy, of course, and then reading. And so with that said, you have support from another source as it relates to literacy and reading. And then also funding. That is another reason why school and public libraries should connect. I say funding because with the school district, sometimes funds are limited as it relates to monies being allocated to the school library. It's sad, we don't want it to be that way, but that is how it is sometimes. And so with that being said, the public library, of course, they have numerous grants that they're able to write for, to receive, and it's not little money. We're not talking like $500. We're talking about thousands of dollars that public libraries are able to receive through a variety of funding sources. And so that is another reason why we should connect, because maybe there is something that your students need, but you are unable to offer that to them being, in the school library. So you have another resource outside of the school library that the students are able to use and to connect with. And I know I went to a excuse me, I'm sorry. I went to a professional development day for CLA, which is California Library Association, and so that represents, that association supports and represents public libraries, and I received a lot of great information from that PD, and I was able to hear and share and see what they were doing in the public library. And then I was able to share out, how school libraries could support some of the programs that they had mentioned. But some of the things that they did talk about was funding. So they do have a greater opportunity to apply for grants or receive monies for their library. So how do you connect and collaborate? So we talked about, of course, what school libraries offer, what the public library offers, why would we want to connect, and then how to connect and collaborate. I know some of you might already connect and collaborate with a public library, and that's because you may work at a school library, but you are in a joint use library. We have 2 joint use libraries in my school district. I think it's 2. I feel like I'm forgetting one. No, I think we have 2 joint use libraries within the school district I work in. My daughter attends a high school that is a joint use library. So some of you guys I know are already connecting with the public library side of this. But for those of us that are not, the question is, how can the school library and public library connect? Well, I think a meet and greet. Meet and greet is definitely great. Now, not necessarily will the public library people come to you. And they might. That's wonderful if they do. But you can get out there. I know I visit the public library that is within the city that I live in, the neighboring city that I work in. I visit that public library as well, and I've come to make quite a few friends, you know, in that library. And that's good because when something occurs or there's an event, we are able to support one another. But people won't know that you are there to support them or you want to collaborate with them if you don't say anything. So definitely some type of meet and greet. After you've already had the meet and greet, possibly formed a new relationship with the public library, then email regularly and share plans. Summer reading is coming up because summer is right here around the corner. Kids will be out of school. So they will not be able to have access to the school library, but they will definitely have access to the public library. And most public libraries that I know have and host a summer reading program. And so those are the types of plans that you can share. Also, when I was at the CLA professional development, there was a librarian there that had mentioned connecting with the local science center and getting some information and some little projects, that the students were able to take, or the patrons, but they were students. The patrons were able to take home once they completed, but it was geared towards STEM, which we know you have science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM or STEAM. And so, sharing those plans. Of course, next generation science is big, and so you're sharing those plans. That's something that is happening in the school system, and then that can be something that they are doing in the public library as well. But you don't need to share all your plans, but when you find out, okay, what are you doing at the public library, maybe there's something you can do to support that back at your school site. I know for myself, once I have made the connection with the public library, then I am able to distribute maybe flyers for things that are coming up at the public library. Dr. Seuss was just last month. We celebrated Read Across America. Of course, I was doing something at my school site, but the public library was also doing a huge event on his birthday. And so the librarian over there sent me the flyers. I posted it, I shared it with the students, and so then some of my students went down to the public library and participated in the event that they have. So, we email back and forth, we share ideas. Oh, this is what we're doing. Is this something that could help you, or is this something that you could get to your parents and your students? And vice versa. I'm able to ask them to come and be a part of things that I have, which segues into, no, it doesn't. I'm going to skip down to bullet number 4, supporting one another events. So, like I just shared with you, the Read Across America, the Dr. Seuss celebrating his birthday that they did, but I host a family literacy night event at my school site each year. And so one thing that I like to do, because it is family literacy, I know the families will be out and they'll be there, I ask the public library to come, or if they could send a representative or two, and I do a public library card drive. And so now they are coming out. Not only are they supporting my event, they're able to bring, they bring information about what's happening or what's up and coming at the public library. They are able to distribute that out to the parents and the students. And then also, students are getting signed up, parents are getting signed up, little siblings are getting signed up for library cards. And so now they have access to another type of library outside of their school library. And then, of course, now they can go as a whole family. For some of us, maybe parents or siblings, if they're young toddlers, they might not be allowed, on campus to visit the school library. Maybe it's only for students. I'm not sure how the rules work at every school, but I'm just saying that, with the public library coming out to the event, then now parents have a library card as well as their students, and so now they're able to visit the public library as a family, not just, at least for myself, the students that attend. So that is another way that you can connect. Host conferences and workshops together. I am definitely elated for an opportunity that is coming up next week, and it is a PD day, of course, for those that serve in the public libraries, but they have extended their day conference to surrounding school districts. And so now here you have school libraries and public libraries under the same roof, getting the same information, being able to collaborate, bounce ideas off of each other, share ideas, good practice, best practices, things that don't work, things that do work, what's up and coming. So definitely being able to host conferences and workshops together. Anytime others, those are outsiders, others see a partnership or a relationship, that might make them a little bit more confident to get on board with whatever it is that you're trying to push or trying to share. So that is another way that school and public libraries can connect. Also, referring students or parents to the public library for resources and materials. Excuse me for a minute, I'm going to take a sip of water. Referring students or parents to the public library for resources and materials. Like I mentioned earlier, one student, we wish we were rich at the school sites, but that is not always the case. So I need something or a place that I can recommend or refer my students to. And then also public library, they are extended hours. Most of us, maybe your library is closing at 3, maybe it's closing at 4, maybe it closes at 2:30, maybe it's even earlier than that because you might just be, part-time. And so students need access to technology, they need access to materials, they need access to resources, and the public library stays open, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, so students are able to have their hands on the resources and the materials that they need, at a time that's convenient for them. Also, public library is open on Saturday and some are open on Sunday as well. So now you have the weekend where students are able to access information or the resources that they need. So I think that's definitely good. I don't have everything that my students need at my school library. I would like to, but I don't. So I have an opportunity to turn them over to a place that I know might or usually does. And one thing I like about the public library that we try to do within my school district is the interlibrary loan. So, maybe a book is somewhere else and a student would like to read that. I'm able to request that from another school site. Public library, same way. Maybe a book you want is at a different library within your county that is very far away. Well, they can request that book, So that's definitely a good thing. So keep on connecting. We have to keep on connecting. There's a lot of different things that both libraries offer that is beneficial to the students. So how do you keep the connection to collaborate? Keep the lines of communication open. If you're not connecting or you're not communicating with the public library, they're not communicating with you, then chances are you will not be doing any type of collaboration, or it probably will not be successful. Also, study workshops, definitely good. Maybe you can have the public librarian come over to your school site, visit your school site. Maybe as you recommend the public library to your students, or they can do a project, continue it on, they meet, but study workshops, professional development, and sharing in the professional development. Yes, the needs of each entity vary, but there are some needs that cross. So with that said, you are able to have some type of professional development where both entities can be at the table as it relates to that. Library networks. We have a library network for library educators for the county in which my school district is within. And then I know the public library has library networks. Let those library networks come together. Or, send a representative to each maybe PD or maybe workshop that they have to come back and report out to the whole group. Reading events. I put reading events twice. Oh my goodness. I wonder what was the other thing that I wanted to put there. I am so sorry. So reading events, definitely important. The summer reading program, something that I do for my students at the end of the year. I do a book swap, so I try to support summer reading by doing the book swap, so students have new material that they haven't read to read over the summer. But I know that the public library does a summer reading program, so I get the information about that, distribute that to the families. Sometimes, believe it or not, even though, somebody might live within, live in their community, doesn't necessarily mean they know everything that their community has to offer. Not a lot of people might visit. That was totally an improper sentence. Something didn't sound right there. Sorry. Maybe not everybody visits the public library, but if they knew and they were aware of what the public library had to offer, that would change. It's just like the school library. Middle school, high school, I've worked at each. If the students are not coming in on a regular basis like they do in elementary. So if the students and the teachers don't know what you have to offer, then they're not going to come in, So sharing the reading events that are going on within those two entities. Or like I do the literacy, family literacy night, having the public library be a part of that and coming over to share the resources that they have. And then supporting, of course. That's how you are going to keep the connection to collaborate. There's other things. Maybe you might have student book groups, maybe even programs for your teachers, library staff book talks, possibly. We all, well, I don't want to say we all read just because we're librarians, but hopefully we are reading something. And so with that said, you could do library staff book talks. That might be something that you're able to do, through a workshop or professional development. And getting on board with what it is that each one supports. I know I get great information from I'm saying it wrong, American School Library. I am missing, what is the second letter? Oh my goodness. Well, they have an organization that is for all of the school libraries, but I also get good information from ALA, which is American Library Association. So that, of course, and I get good information from CSLA, California School Library Association, and then I get great information from CLA, which is California Library Association. So being a part, and I mean all of these associations or organizations, they all have websites. So, I pick information off of both. So that's definitely something that you can do. So there's my name, Erica Leggett, Library Queen E. Oh, and that picture, I went to the Festival of Books this past weekend, LA Times Festival of Books. It was amazing, as it always is. And so that part was a Harry Potter themed booth. It really wasn't a booth, it was huge. They actually did a reading from the first Harry Potter, and you could do coloring. You're never too big to color because they have adult coloring books now. And then, you got the little Harry Potter glasses. So that was me kind of channeling my inner Harry Potter right there with the Harry Potter glasses on. But I definitely enjoyed myself. And think about the LA Times Festival of Books. Now, maybe you don't live in California, and that's LA as in Los Angeles, not Louisiana. But, maybe you don't live in California. But what I'm saying is that is an opportunity. Everybody is there. It is just geared around books and literacy and reading, adult books, children's books, in-between books, all kinds of books, and different things. So definitely I had a blast there, and I go every year. So there's the blog, of course, Tales of a Library Queen. There is the URL for the blog. You can always email me. Maybe you have a question, maybe you have a concern, maybe you would like to co-host a webinar with me. That would be awesome. But you can always contact me through email. There is my Twitter at Library Queen E, Facebook, there it is, and then Instagram, because I love to post pictures and do selfies and all of that stuff. But yes, so bridging the gap. Hopefully, I mean, in this short time, I've kind of shared with you how we can bridge the gap, because there is a gap there. We don't want a gap or a divide to be there. And then how we can become connected collaborators. We are connecting, of course, through collaboration of the school library and the public library. And then at the end of the day, we have to understand that public library and the school library equals student success, because our students live, they attend our schools, and then you have the public library that's within the community that our students live. And so a great resource, both of them. So definitely find ways to collaborate or connect with your local public library and your local schools that are within your community. And then I know that great things will happen there. But remember that you want to connect, and then even if you just start with something simple, maybe there's something happening at the public library and you can have flyers there. If you work at the public library, find out what schools are within, so many miles, and send them flyers. They would not mind putting that out. It's not a problem. Being able to refer our students to the public library. Also, hosting events together, doing a meet and greet. Maybe you can have a meet your public librarian day at your school. That's another way to connect. We're visual creatures, so we can put a face, to something, and not just say, oh, go to the library, but not only meeting the public librarian, but that will give them an opportunity to share about the public library. Having events where you can have where you can be present at each other events, but definitely keep the lines of communication open. That is definitely the best way to do collaboration. You can keep the lines of communication open. So I am back, and you know what? I hope you guys are digging this background, because if you know me, you know that I am so totally all about animal print. So I just thought that this was going to be an awesome background, and I think it might be my background for next month too. I'm not sure. But I hope that you enjoyed the webinar for today. And hopefully it inspired you or encouraged you to get out there and either, if you are on the school library side, you are connecting with your public library, and if you're on the public library side, then you're connecting with the schools within your community. I think that is it. And just a reminder that the Paris Symposium happens every second Wednesday of each month, beginning at 5:15 p.m. And I am only with you for 45 minutes. And it's hopefully a great and beneficial 45 minutes for you. And so remember, this is for you. So definitely please share your ideas. Ask your questions. Hopefully we can get some conversation going here. But tweet out hashtag Paris Symposium. Tell anybody and everybody that you know about it. I will definitely see you next month. Stay tuned for what the topic will be. I have 2 topics in mind, and I'm just trying to figure out in which order will I do it. Will I do it May, then June? Oh, of course it's going to be May and June. But the topics, I'm debating on which one I am going to share first. So I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, if you are a Laker fan, I hope you enjoy the game. Let's go Lakers. They play Utah Jazz. And props to Kobe Bryant, his last game at the Staples Center. This is Library Queen E signing off until next month when I see you. And I hope you have a wonderful, fabulous evening. And I will see you next month, same time, same channel.